Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following confession that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to us by one of our brother as a voice note. Let us thank one of our sister whom I had to ask for a Venda translation from Venda to English, and the translation, it reads like this. Good afternoon, Brother Nanshi. Please keep me anonymous for my own safety. My name is Rendani, not my real name. I used to be a nobody, never even thought of living in an estate here in Joburg. Back in those days when I was a nobody, I was living in Sibasa, in Limpopo, there in Venda. I was just struggling to make ends meet. I was unemployed, just doing casual labor, piece jobs around Louis Richard, just to buy a bag of maize meal for my family. I had twins. I had boys, 2 boys, who were the joy of my life. But I felt like a failure because I could not provide for them. I was doing some piece jobs in Louis because I had this other white man that my mom had once worked for as a domestic worker. So I would go there and then I would try to help him, but the money that he was giving to me, it was not a lot, and he could not hire me at all the times. And I had tried to work in the farms, but unfortunately the farm where I was working at, I was the only vendor guy that was there. There was one who was also from Beitbridge, but there were a lot of paddies that were there, and they did not like for someone to be hired by the boss without the foreman, who was a paddy, him being the one that would have spoken on your behalf with the boss. So I worked a little bit in Dendron, but unfortunately I got fired because I had just arrived at that farm and I looked for a job and the boss hired me. So those people, they started looking for trouble for me, and I saw that if I continued staying at that farm, they could even get me arrested with the way that they hated me quite a lot. And I returned back to Venda. It felt so bad because I was unable to provide for my own kids. As for my father, I had never known my father. He was like a ghost to me. My mom always told me that my dad, he was a vendor man that was working in Joburg. He used to work as a laborer there in Joburg. That is where they met when my mother was working as a domestic worker as well in Joburg. So I would always think about my father, him being in Joburg, maybe probably struggling just like me. But whenever I would press my mom about it, my mom, she would not tell me the truth where my dad was exactly. Then one Monday morning, my life changed with a single phone call. It was a man that spoke with me. He introduced himself and he told me that he was a lawyer from a firm in Santon. And they said, "A lawyer? Am I owing anyone? Why is this lawyer calling me?" He told me that, "Rendani, your father has passed away." And it was quite a surprise, this man, that he knew my first name, because the moment that I picked up, he said, "Rendan, can I speak with you?" But he was Zulu. I heard from his accent. And I said, "Yes, you can speak with me." And he was like, "I have said news for you, but I have to tell you, you must be strong as a man. Rendani, your father has passed away. You need to come to Johannesburg immediately." I was confused because when I spoke with my mom, she still refused. Can you believe the way that my mom had been keeping these secrets from me? I was confused. I did not even have money by then. I had to speak with one of my cousin who was working as a security in Polokwane. So all that I had to do was to hustle for money from Louis Richard. Then I went and I got the taxi fare from Polokwane then to Joburg. Even on the call, I laughed at him and I said, "I don't even have money at all. How can I go to Joburg?" So he said, "Just organize yourself and come here. There is something good that is waiting for you." The day that I left Venda going to Polokwane, that was when my mom said to me, "Yes, indeed, your father has passed away." I just spoke with your uncle. I was so angry at my mom when she told me that she had been in contact with my uncle and she had been told that my father was sick for nearly 3 years, but she never said a word about it. I finally arrived in Polokwane, and then my cousin got me onto a bus, and then I went to Joburg. And it was my first time to be in Joburg, really. That is why I opted to use a bus, because they told me that they were going to come and pick me up at Park Station. When I arrived in Joburg, I can't even explain to you the luxury vehicle that I had only once seen being driven by people that had money, that I had only seen on TV. That is the car that came with one of my uncle and his younger wife to come and pick me up at Park Station. And when I asked mom about my dad, I was surprised that my uncle's wife, she laughed when I asked if he was still working as a garden boy by the time that he passed away. They told me that my father had never been a gardener in his entire life. Yes, he met my mom when she was working as a maid. They don't understand why my mom hated my dad quite a lot. Maybe it was because he wanted to have many wives and he had many taxis, those that were in Durban. And then they told me that the reason as to why I was supposed to be there, because the lawyers had said that my father had said that he can't be buried until his firstborn son was present. He said that if he was going to be buried, his body was going to be restless and everyone was going to suffer in his family. So that is what he told his own lawyer. I was then taken to my uncle's house. When we got to my uncle's house, even though I had never met them before, but the chemistry, it was there. And I saw that my uncle, he was someone that was wealthy. He was already doing some tender. He is the one that got me set up in the construction industry after the ritual. Then that was when we were taken to KZN. When we got to KZN, I then heard that my father had 11 taxis. Someone who had struggled all of his life. You can just imagine the shock that I had in my bones as they were telling me that I had Zulu blood. I was never what I thought I was, a Venda person. And I just felt like I was home, and I was taken to a homestead where they were busy performing the traditional burial. The men that were there, they were carrying traditional spears and shields, and then I was given one short heavy spear. I was told that this used to be my father's spear and it was handed to me by my uncle, and then I was told that this is my inheritance and I was supposed to accept whatever that came with it. I did not know that this spear that was going to be given to me, it was going to come with some things that will make me to regret for the rest of my life. The burial in KZN, it was unlike anything that I had ever seen. When my father, when his body was being lowered, then I was taken aside and I was given a knockberry that I was supposed to put inside of his grave. Then he was buried. Then I was taken into a forest. When I was taken into a forest, this was done. It was somewhere around 2 a.m. and they took me to a river that was freezing cold, and I was stripped naked. They brought out a black goat, and then they slit the throat of that black goat, letting the warm blood spill into a wooden bowl, and they mixed it with river water and some herbs. I was told to step into the freezing water, and I did so as they poured the blood mixture over my head. And then I was told that whatever that was going to come to me, telling me to perform the rituals that my father used to perform, I was supposed to feed it. They asked me if I was willing to do it. To tell you the truth, as someone that had grown up very poor, I did these rituals that they instructed me to do so that I can be able to inherit what my father had said I was supposed to be given. So there were two specific white quantum taxis, plain with no branding. One, I still have it here in my home, no stickers, nothing. They are just your normal taxis. And these ones, one was supposed to be given to me. Then I was told that the other one, it was going to be given to my half brother, who was a year younger than me. I moved from Venda to Johannesburg and I started working immediately. Since I had driven taxis before, I said I'm going to drive my own taxis. This is in my blood. I told myself that I also wanted to be as rich as my father was. And I started making money, more than money I had ever seen in my entire life. In a week, I was making what I used to make in a year when I was back home in Venda. That was when I started to notice that there were things that my uncle had reminded me each and every time, because now I could visit my father's relatives and he would always ask me if I was performing the rituals as he had told me to perform them. And the rituals that I was told to perform was that every night after I would have finished working, returned back home, then I would set an alarm on my phone. Exactly 12 midnight, the alarm would ring. Then I would wake up. I would have to leave my house, even if I was tired, even if I was sick, even if I was drunk. I had to drive my taxi, but empty, around the streets of Joburg for exactly 30 minutes. And when the 30 minutes is over, then the ritual will be done. And whenever I would come across a T-junction, I had to stop, get out, and smash a fresh egg onto the road. I was supposed to drive around with 6 eggs, and at each and every T-junction, until those 6 T-junctions will be done, then I was supposed to be smashing those eggs each and every time. And if I missed on a single night, or if I could not do it for any particular reason, then my father would appear in my dreams screaming, and he would be angry at me. Sometimes I would see a tokoloshi that would be sitting on my throat, wanting to choke me so that I can die. When I would wake up, I would see that my room, it will be covered with smoke. That was when I realized that I was doing some rituals and now I had a tokoloshi. I went to my uncle and I told my uncle, and my uncle then came clean with me, and he told me that my dad had gone to Mozambique when he was afraid that maybe he was going to be gunned down by someone in the same taxi association where he was, because my father, he had done it before. He had set up another businessman for a hit, and that man, he passed away. This happened in the late 1990s. So it was quite strange, the things that I was told, that in the family there is the spirit of that man that was killed by my father that is always haunting us, and in order for this spirit not to give us so much bad luck, he had to go to Mozambique, where he was told to do those rituals and to buy 2 taxis, the ones that he would always use for these rituals. So whenever I would perform these rituals, but this happened only once, I went out as usual after I had smashed the 6 eggs and I started driving back home. That was when I heard that there was someone that was sitting at the back seat and he was coughing, and it felt as if it was my father, even though I never knew him, because I was told that when my father passed away, he used to cough quite a lot because he was a heavy smoker and a heavy drinker. And when I looked into the rear view mirror expecting to see someone, I did not even see anything. And this taxi, it became so heavy, as if I had carried a lot of people, like more than 30 people that had climbed into the taxi, but I was the only one that was inside of that taxi. Then there was another rule that I was told 3 months after I had encountered that ghost in the taxi. I was told by my uncle I was never supposed to wash this taxi. My uncle was very clear He said, never wash this taxi yourself, Rendani, and never take it to any car wash. Even if you have a driver later on, you must tell the driver to never make a mistake of taking this taxi to a car wash. I was given a specific address of an old Malawian man that was living in a hostel here in Joburg. So after each and every 25 days, then I would go to his house. This was done at night. I would go there to him, and then he would wash the car, but with normal water. Then I would also wash the car a couple of days after that wash, but I was supposed to do it after sunset when people are no longer walking around. By then I was still staying in the location, so this was not a normal wash. To prepare it, I had to go to an abattoir. Then I would buy cow's blood, and I would also buy cow's liver. If I did not find cow's blood at any abattoir, I would go and buy a lot of cow's liver and soak it throughout the day in water until that water looked like it was blood. I would then start washing that taxi on my own. But after each and every 25 days, that man, he was the one that was supposed to wash it with water. He did not use soap. He just used clean water, wipe everything, and he would put some oil on each and every seat except for the driver's seat. So these were some of the rituals that I was doing. So people, they think that taxi owners are just lucky, hardworking, but they don't know the things that some of us, we had to do in the dark. I did this for many months, watching my money growing, and then I was able to purchase a house in the estate, always wearing expensive clothes, but I could not even sleep at all because I always saw a tokoloshi in the room where I would be sleeping, and I felt like there was something that was terrible that was about to happen, and my uncles, they did not want me to know about this, but I did not even have to wait that long. One afternoon, I was driving from Soweto towards Hillbrow. Suddenly, a short boy, this was a tokoloshi, but a short boy, it appeared right beside my window. It was as if it was flying. I saw this thing that was flying right next to my taxi, and this small boy, he looked at me, and his eyes, they were completely red and scary, and he said to me, do not bother going for the wash today, Rendani, because this was after the 25 days. And he said to me, Rendani, the Malawian man is dead. And when I saw this vision, I thought maybe I was just hallucinating, but it was for real. When I arrived there in Hillbrow, that was when I discovered that the Malawian man, he had passed away. Within a month, the protection, it vanished. Back in Sibasa, my mother called me. She was crying. My two twin sons, one of them, he had been crippled. The first one, it made sense, but the second boy, it did not make any sense. My first son, he fell from a mango tree, and then he hurt his knee. He was taken to the hospital. He stayed in the hospital, I don't know for how many months, and I was told that I could not go to Venda because it was going to mess up the entire business of the family. So I stayed here in Joburg with my uncles. We were going to different sangomas. They were telling me that my son was going to recover, but then we were told that there was a mistake, that they did not see him from the start. When they admitted my son into the hospital, he had broken his spinal cord. This was the most painful thing that had ever happened to me. For my son, he was never going to be able to walk again in his entire life. We had to hire a sangoma from Sibasa. This man, we paid him a lot of money. He was the one that my mother would consult with, and my mom did not know that we had paid him money. And my mom was being told by that sangoma that if you want to lose your son, force him to return back to Venda. Your enemies, they are the ones that are causing all of these things that have happened to his son. After that, the second one, and it did not make sense. My second son, just woke up one morning and he could not even move his legs. And the doctor said that there was no medical reason for it, but I knew very well what had happened. I went back to my uncle's. I was crying and I was asking, why is it that my children were the ones that were suffering? And then they told me that since I was the firstborn to my father, I was supposed to be the one that had to sacrifice his own kids. I could not do it anymore. I wanted out. Then they told me that if I wanted to free myself, I was supposed to give back the Tokoloshi some blood, this Tokoloshi that my father went and he collected from Mozambique. They instructed me to drive the taxi on the N3 highway, the road from Joburg to Durban, and to perform a ritual, but I was accompanied by my uncle. I was the last born in the family that my father was born into. He took me to the N3 highway, and when we reached this other specific spot where there was a big accident, we then had to do some rituals, and we also smashed a clay pot in the middle of the N3 highway. After that, we had a sweeping broom. As I was speaking, there were some specific words that I was saying, and I was saying that may this spot be the one where you are going to drink your last blood from me. My father took you from Mozambique, and tonight I am going to perform this final ritual. Take the blood of those that you see you require their blood. Take 10, take 20, take the number of the people that you want, and leave my family. I cannot feed you anymore. So after that, when we did these rituals, then we returned back to Joburg. We only traveled just to do those rituals. So after we did these rituals, I then put my taxi. By then it was not operating on the Johannesburg to Durban route. I had to put it on the Joburg to Durban route for that accident to happen. I knew that the accident was going to happen, and I waited for my driver to call me or for me to hear it on social media that there was a taxi that had caused an accident. So on the day when it happened, brother, the driver was headed out for Durban. I even went to visit him when he was at the taxi rank after he had loaded. I just wanted to check, and I wanted to see the faces of the people that were in that taxi, because I knew that 1, 2, or 3 or 5 were going to get hurt and they were going to die after that accident. Later on, that was when I received a phone call and I was told that my taxi had a terrible accident and it was a wreck. If I could show you the pictures of the taxi when it had this accident, you can just feel sorry for the people that were trapped inside. Unfortunately, the driver was the one that passed away from that taxi. Then there was another woman who had severe injuries. I think she has a disability now. So my driver was the one that died in that accident. I had to provide quite a lot. He was also a man that was from Venda, that he had been working for me for a couple of years. So this taxi, it was towed back to Joburg, and I had it panel beaten. And if I could show you the pictures, you can say, but it does not make sense. A taxi that was a wreck like that, why did you get it panel beaten? My uncles, they told me that this taxi, it is supposed to be parked at my house until I die. Then it can be given to someone in the family, or it can be buried somewhere in KZN. So since they said that we can't do it right now, the place where they wanted us to go and bury it, they said that it is not yet ready for that place where we were supposed to go and bury this taxi. For the Sangoma told them that. And I have never put it on the road again. It has been parked in my garage for more than 6 years now, covered in a tarp. I moved into a high security estate in Joburg, where I live completely alone. I can never get married, for the spirit won't allow another woman in the house. I bring slay queens here at my house for a night or 2 nights. but they always leave and they don't even know that I am a ritualist. I give them money. Some of them, they end up falling in love with me, but they don't know that I am a man never to be loved, for I can't marry them. With the help of an uncle, I moved into the construction business, and Brother Nashi, don't think I am free. Being in this construction business that I was taught by my uncle, I have my own rituals, the things that I can't even mention to you. And the darkest part of my life that really hurts me to this day is that I am strictly forbidden for providing for my twins. I have millions, but my sons, they must live on government disability grants in the village. If I sent them a single cent, then it means that I am going to start going crazy instantly. I do not want to be seen walking around Joburg just eating food from the dustbins. My children, they are okay, they have a disability, and they are getting that government grant. As for my relatives, they think that I once had a business, but I could not run that business properly. Now I am struggling in life, but I am not even struggling in life at all. I am a rich man, Brother Nashi, but I feel like I am a prisoner in my own house, watching my children suffer from a distance. That is what I had to do when I was involved in the taxi industry. I think that maybe this is the reason as to why my mom never wanted me to see my father when he was still alive. This is my confession. When you post, please tell me. I will follow through in the comment section. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our DM brother. Let us try to speak with our dear brother in the comment section. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. He said, watching my children suffer from a distance whilst I stay in the estates drinking beer with slay queens, and they don't know that I am a ritualist. That is another message that he sent to me. Let us try to speak with him in the comment section. I'll be back with another episode. I have 4 episodes that I have already recorded. I woke up very early. I woke up around 5 a.m. and I started recording. So I will be posting. Just make sure that you watch all the episodes as well as to like, so that I can keep on posting. Let us meet again in the following episode.